At the heels of success, President Maithripala Sirisena promises to appoint another commission to probe the national carrier and Mihin Lanka. Vandals identified. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya says the culprit behind the destruction of the Sampur Stupa will be brought to book. Pledge for action. Minister Patli Champik insists that the President will take appropriate measures on the audit report on Valattikulam Forest Reserve in Vilpattu. More sanctions. UN Security Council unanimously imposed new sanctions, cutting North Korea's petroleum imports by 90%. No more domestic cricket. Sri Lankan players told not to participate in domestic cricket ahead of the Bangladeshi tour. Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Ekanaika. Now, in our lead story this evening, President Maithripala Sirisena said today that a commission will be appointed to probe the Sri Lankan Airlines and Mihin Lanka after he receives the report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry appointed to probe the controversial central bank bond issuance. The head of state made the remark during a discussion held at the President's official residence last evening.
President Maithripala Sirisena held discussions with party organisers of the SLFP last evening at the President's official residence.
The previous election system allowed anyone, including racketeers who didn't have political principles, to contest for elections using money. Before this new election system came into being, we were on one side. This election is not one where decisions on national politics will be taken. Everyone, including those who are abroad, talk about the value of the Bond Commission. After I receive the report of the Commission, I will appoint another commission to look into the Sri Lankan Airlines and Mihin Lanka. I have decided today, just as I did when I left the previous government, to commit for a clean political movement, regardless of the fate I will have to face. Now, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says measures will be taken in the future to transform the Alla-Vallavaya region into a fully fledged tourism zone. The Premier made this remark speaking to media during a visit to Alla today.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe held discussions with officials at the Alla Division Secretariat on developing the area for tourism.
The tourist arrivals coming to Uva province from Bandarawela will increase with the Mattala airport starting operations from next year. A large number of tourists will come to Alla from where they move on to Bandarawela and other areas. Therefore, planned development is needed for Alla, and we have held discussions on the lands that are needed for the development. Representatives of tourism business in Alla, along with the Divisional Secretary and the Secretary of the Pradesh Sabha, will submit a joint report to me in 2 weeks. Then onwards, we will begin our plans.
Subsequently, the Prime Minister engaged in an observational tour of the Alla railway station.
Minister of Ports and Shipping Mahinda Samarasinha says the Sri Lanka Ports Authority will take steps to increase the container exchange in the Colombo port up to 10 million per year. The minister made this remark speaking at an event held at the Sri Lanka Ports Authority.
An event was held to celebrate the handling of 6 million containers by the 3 main terminals of the Colombo port within the year 2017. Minister of Ports and Shipping Mahinda Samarasinha presided over the event, which was also attended by officials of the Sri Lanka Port Authority.
We have many milestones to achieve. With some of our clients becoming competitors, I think we have to be mindful of the marketing challenges that we are expected to face. The next challenge would be not to handle 7 million containers or 8 million containers, but to launch the East Container Terminal as fast as possible.
We are proud to say that the Colombo port has become the 23rd most active port in the world. We were able to hit the 6 million mark just 2 years after reaching the 5 million mark following the opening of the terminal. Just as we reached the 6 million mark, we will soon reach the 10 million mark. We will have to expedite necessary development, especially for the East Container Terminal, as we hope to make it operational next year. I'm happy to say that I have already obtained cabinet approval and we are taking steps to call for tenders. Speaker of Parliament Karu Jayasuriya affirms that individuals behind the destruction of the historic stupa discovered recently in Sampur have been identified. He made this remark speaking at an event held in Colombo yesterday.
On the 11th of November, a team of archaeologists discovered the ruins of an ancient stupa dating back to the Anuradhapura era in Sudakuda, Sampur. However, days after the discovery, the historic site was razed to the ground with bulldozers by a group of individuals. Attention was drawn towards the incident at an event held yesterday in Colombo by Speaker of Parliament Karu Jayasuriya as well as Deputy Incumbent of Bellamvilla Rajamahaviharaya, Venerable Professor Bellamvilla Vimalaratanathera, who expressed consternation at the incident.
Until today, I did not see a single minister or parliamentarian discussing this. Who is responsible for this destruction whilst attempting to bury the country's Buddhist heritage? Is the Minister of Buddha Sasana talking about this? Is it just us, the clergy, who are worried about this? When this incident occurred, the Minister and the Secretary of Buddha Sasana, the police, the Governor and I myself discussed it, not just today but yesterday as well. A meeting will be convened on the incident because we feel deeply about it. The police told us that they have found who is behind this. We won't let go of this easily. The destruction of these historical ruins has affected us greatly. Although we won't publicise it, we will take necessary measures in this regard.
Now,
Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Partly Champika Ranawaka, insists the President will take appropriate measures based on the audit report on the misappropriation of the Valattikulam Forest Reserve in Vilpattu. He made the remarks speaking to media following an event in Maharagama. The special report compiled by the Auditor General was recently submitted to the Speaker of Parliament, Karu Jayasuriya.
The 136-page report reveals that the Conservator General of Forests had released 650 acres of land from the Vilattikulam Forest Reserve to the Mana District Secretary to resettle displaced Muslim people despite it having been declared a protected area. The report further observes that the Conservator General of Forests has no authority or legal powers to release land. The report adds that the decision to notify the Conservator General to release the land from the reserve was made during a meeting on the 5th of October 2012, chaired by then Minister of Industry and Commerce, Rishad Badiuddin. The report, however, points out that the minister had no authority to make that decision. Furthermore, it stated that while land was released with the purpose of resettling people displaced during the war, land had been provided to people who had not been displaced. Meanwhile, Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Partly Champika Ranawaka, expressed his views on the issue to media.
Ministers or other political authorities cannot be allowed to destroy sensitive environmental areas. It was under the influence of Basil Rajapaksa during the previous regime that over 2,000 hectares of forested land in the northern province was released for unsystematic development in this manner. Displaced people must be resettled, but it must be done after properly deciding in which areas should be settled and what should be conserved. Clearing forested land, even with the permission of Basil Rajapaksa, cannot be done. The President will make a decision according to the environmental report. If there is a report on conservation, the law must be implemented irrespective of stature. Parliamentarian Banduna Gunawardena insists that the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna views the upcoming local government election as a referendum. Speaking to media following a leaders' meeting of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna today, he said that upcoming polls will decide whether the government's tenure is positive or not. MP Gunawardena wasn't the only politician to express views on the upcoming election.
A meeting of all political leaders of parties contesting under the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna was held at the party head office in Nelumawata today.
Necessary planning and scheduling geared towards the victory of the flower bud will be done in the coming days. Everyone is talking about the flower bud. No one blames the UNP, but everyone gets together to blame the flower bud. That means we're the most powerful party. We consider this election to be a referendum. A referendum to see whether what the government did during its tenure is positive or negative.
In the meantime, a discussion was held with the participation of parliamentarians representing the joint opposition at the residence of its convener Prasanna Ranatunga in Udugampala. Nimal Lanza, who recently resigned from the deputy ministerial post, was also present at the meeting.
During this local government election, people will decide between Ranil Wickremesinghe and Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Various other politicians also expressed their views on the upcoming local government election today.
It's high time we stopped following leaders and get deceived. We should come together to accomplish what we want. The party of President Maithripala Sirisena is an orphanage. Anyone can go to the party of President Maithripala Sirisena. They're given posts of organisers as well as nominations. Our nominations for 2 local government bodies were rejected. We in the SLFP give our fullest support to the defeat of UNP in Padiyatalawa and the Hiyattakandiya local government bodies.
They have solicited sexual bribes from women to give nominations. When that is the case, what would happen to the political future of those women?
Anyone can make any complaint. A complaint should be made responsibly and should have a validity. These are good for you. Whoever wins, governments will neither be formed or toppled. The existing government will continue to be. You made a change and gave us posts, yet we didn't revert to living in castles, using state power. There is no use of accusing us. You know who divided the party. We embrace the policies of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, and that's how the flower bud came to be with new thinking and principles. We don't have an issue with getting together, but the issue we have is being betrayed, and it continues to happen. This should stop. Now, Venerable Alle Gunawansathera emphasises that a need has arisen for a national campaign which goes beyond politicians. He made the remark addressing a seminar organised by the Professionals National Front yesterday. Its president, Dr. Anuruddha Padeni, also addressed the gathering, stressing that it is high time to initiate a vision on the country's requirements. It's time to launch a vision on what should be done. For example, what should be done if the port is not sold? They say that there are 3 kinds of fears: demolition, sale and theft. We say that these 3 fears are being managed for the benefit of foreign powers. There is some truth in it. It should be heralded that national assets cannot be sold through cabinet papers. We intellectuals should line up to respond to the destructive methods that are being used. There are enough auctioneers for this country, and as such, we need a national campaign which goes beyond politicians. Recently, there was a consensus that certain political leaders should be brought together. Even I would volunteer, but I got 3 demands. First is that the new constitution should be rejected. Second, a national board devoid of politicians should be set up for national resources with incumbent patriots. The third is that perpetrators who are implicated in the world's biggest heist, the bond issue, should be taken to court. They are reasonable demands, but no one's interested in them. Little Hearts Project, reaching out to save the lives of innocent children suffering from heart disease, received a generous donation from the Sri Gunaratana Dhamma School of the Sankapala Rajamahawihare, Ambilipitiya. The students of the Dhamma School had raised the funds amounting to 300,000 rupees from shops, homes and donors in their area, under the guidance of the head teacher of the Dhamma School, Venerable Timbulkatiye Nagithathera. The Little Hearts Project aims to raise funds to build a 10-storey building at the Lady Ridgeway Children's Hospital to house a children's cardiology unit and intensive care units. Now, there is only a little over 24 hours to go for the dawn of one of the world's most awaited festivals, Christmas. The Christian community in Sri Lanka, along with all the country's citizens, are busy in preparation to mark the occasion, since Christmas is now celebrated globally, regardless of religion, caste or race. We at First at 9 stepped out into the streets of Colombo to see how busy the city is in preparation to celebrate the upcoming feast.
Many people in the city are visiting markets to finalize their Christmas shopping, to buy all the traditional Christmas fare, to do their own Christmas baking and decorations. Parents, in particular, face the daunting task of finding the perfect gifts for their children, which they have been expecting from Santa Claus all year. Apart from markets and homes, a number of schools have already organized carol services and Christmas plays, also known as nativity plays, in preparation for Christmas celebrations. Cities look more colourful and eye-catching at night, as decorated Christmas trees, sparkling lights and tinsel are seen brightening up shops and homes alike. Christmas, the festival that celebrates the birth of Jesus Christ, whom Christians believe to be the Saviour of the world. Even though Christmas is known as a religious festival, it has now become a worldwide phenomenon, at a time of happiness, no longer exclusive to Christianity. We asked the public how they feel about Christmas and their preparations for it.
Planning to go around Colombo actually. Since I'm having a little one, we won't be traveling out station. Within Colombo, we'll be going around and enjoying the week. Looking forward to do more shopping in the upcoming week as well for the new year.
It's nice. I'm glad that my family is around, that's the biggest thing, and a lot of home-cooked meals and spreading love and laughter. That's the season of Christmas, so that's all about.
We are almost done with the shopping, so I think the most important thing is that more than all these festivities, we need to bear in mind the reason for the season. I think that's what we need to celebrate.
We also inquired from shopkeepers as to how their business have fared during the festive season.
It's been amazing actually. We actually have a store right there. A lot of family actually came by, and of course they all have smiles on their faces, and of course they bought a lot of stuff. They have the food courts over there. We wish everyone a wonderful Christmas, and of course may the spirit of Christmas bring the love and of course joy and fulfillment to everyone, right?
We are a travel company. We do ticketing, travels, group travels, and also tailor-made packages. So in this Christmas time, people are very cheerful. They are very curious about the tours that we sell.
Wonderful to see. Now let's take a look at some other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
Private bus bound from Urubokka to Colombo toppled off the Ratnapura Ambilipitiya road and plunged 30 feet into the Dodangaha Canal early this morning, killing 2 people and injuring 42 others. Preliminary investigations revealed that the designated bus driver's assistant had been behind the wheel at the time of the accident and had been unable to control the vehicle. An attack by the wild elephant named Niyapotta, which had escaped from the Horopatana Elephant Transit Centre, left 1 person dead and another critically injured. Outraged local residents held a protest blocking the Kapugol-Lava-Horopatana main road, demanding the removal of the Elephant Transit Centre from Horopatana. Officers of the Badulla Fire Brigade lent a hand to a cow in labour along the Gangabada road in Badulla, successfully delivering a calf. The Samurdhi Bank distributed 5,000 pear saplings among 381 farmers of the Valimara Divisional Secretariat in a bid to promote the cultivation of pears as a highly profitable crop. The program is conducted at a cost of 1 million rupees.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9 on Derana 24/7. Now moving on to business news. Bitcoin plunged yesterday, extending a fall that saw the cryptocurrency lose almost a third of its value from the record of nearly $20,000. The cryptocurrency's price dipped below $11,000 yesterday before recovering to above $13,000. Amid the swings, 3 Bitcoin-related exchanges suspended certain trades. Analysts warn that investors should be prepared for such rapid changes which have characterized the asset from its start.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
The United Nations Security Council unanimously imposed new sanctions, cutting North Korea's petroleum imports by up to 90% following the isolated country's latest intercontinental ballistic missile test. Analysts say the move should, or could rather, have a significant impact on the isolated country's struggling economy.
The US drafted resolution seeks to ban nearly 90% of refined petroleum product exports to North Korea by capping them at 500,000 barrels a year, and would also cap crude oil supplies to North Korea at 4 million barrels a year. The resolution also demands the repatriation of North Koreans working abroad within 24 months.
These products are used by the regime to resource their illegal nuclear and ballistic missile programs. By cutting off this supply, we will restrict their ability to develop and deploy these weapons.
Pyongyang has chosen the path of isolation, and should the North Korean regime conduct another nuclear or ballistic missile test, this resolution commits the Security Council to take even further action. It sends the unambiguous message to Pyongyang that further defiance will invite further punishment and isolation.
Cementing the biggest legislative victory of his first year in office, US President Donald Trump signed Republicans' massive $1.5 trillion tax overhaul into law yesterday. The tax bill has been heavily criticized by Democrats as a giveaway to corporations and the wealthy.
While signing the sweeping tax reforms into law, Trump also approved a short-term spending bill that averts a possible government shutdown. The two pieces of legislation represent Trump's most significant accomplishment with Congress since taking office in January.
And I consider this very much a bill for the middle class and a bill for jobs. Corporations are literally going wild over this. I think it's selling itself. But I think come February, when they open their checks and they see, wow, what happened? I have a lot more money in here. I think that's really going to be something very special.
Tropical storm Tembin hit Mindanao Island in southern Philippines yesterday, triggering mudslides and floodings, killing over 100 people. Along with that story, let's look at some others making news across the world.
Dozens are missing in the wake of tropical storm Tembin, and power cuts and the loss of communication lines have hampered rescue efforts. With winds up to 80 kilometers per hour, the storm has now passed Mindanao and is heading over the southern tip of Palawan before moving further west. At least 33 people are killed while 7 others injured in Rajasthan, India, when a bus they were travelling in veered off a bridge and plunged into a river today. Indian media reported that the 40-seater bus carrying Hindu pilgrims were being driven by the 16-year-old conductor of the bus. The Afghan-born suspect accused of deliberately plowing into Christmas shoppers on a busy street in the Australian city of Melbourne was charged today with 18 counts of attempted murder and 1 count of endangering life. Clashes erupted in the Bolivian capital La Paz yesterday as protesting doctors, medical professionals and medical students entered the 30th day of a strike that has all but shut down local hospitals with the exception of emergency rooms. Protesters are demanding the repeal of a new law that imposes heavier sanctions on doctors found guilty of causing physical harm to their patients.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
Time for some sports. Now, the Sri Lankan batting lineup self-destructed in the second T20 with India yesterday to hand the hosts victory in the series. Sri Lanka lost by 88 runs, giving India an unassailable 2-0 lead in the 3-match series. Now, in the meantime, Sri Lanka Cricket announced that it had consented a request by the new head coach Chandika Hatrusinghe to keep the Sri Lankan players in the squad for the upcoming tour of Bangladesh from participating in domestic cricket until the squad's departure.
After being invited to bat, Indian openers Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul put on a brilliant 165-run partnership for the first wicket. Sharma scored 118 runs off 43 balls, carving his name into record books. Sharma notched up his century in just 35 balls, equaling David Miller to become the fastest centurion in T20 history. The innings propelled India to 260 for 5, their highest T20 score as well as the joint second highest in the format. And the other end, Rahul scored a 49-ball 89 before being dismissed by Nuwan Pradeep. Chasing a challenging target, opener Niroshan Dikwala was dismissed by Jaidev Unadkat for 25 runs. Upul Taranga together with Kusal Pereira gave the Sri Lankan fans hope of victory as they kept the scoreboard ticking with boundaries. Taranga fell for 47 runs and Kusal soon followed, spelling the end for the visitors. They were eventually skittled over for 172, giving India an 88-run victory. The result means Sri Lanka have now lost the T20 series as well to India, along with the Test and ODIs.
Another one for Tail. Pandey getting under it.
Tokyo 2020 organizers unveiled a budget of $12.6 billion for the next summer's games yesterday, which is a $300 million reduction from estimates in May. Games organizers have been working to slash costs after a study last year warned that expenses could balloon to 4 times the initial estimate made in the bid process. They said they were gathering further cuts in an effort to reduce the burden on Japanese taxpayers.
Version 1 of the budget, issued in December last year, was projected at $14 billion. Version 3 is due to be released in December 2018. IOC President John Coates said earlier this month he was confident significant savings would be achieved ahead of the Games, but warned organizers needed to remain vigilant. According to the organizers' estimates, the Tokyo metropolitan government accounts for $5.6 billion and Japan's central government for $1.4 billion of the latest budget. The International Olympic Committee is keen for Tokyo to set a good example by cutting costs in order to attract future candidate cities.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Now let's cross over to Sadhinu Upeka at the Other Derana Weather Centre with your forecast first evening edition.
Good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Now tomorrow's temperatures will average at around 28 degrees Celsius in coastal areas and about 21 degrees in the central hills. Now scattered low pressure regions will be seen across the country during the course of the day. Now showers can be expected in the northern half of the country with thunder showers in Anuradhapura. Now the south will see mostly wet weather as well with thunder showers in Colombo and Galle. It's time now for your city by city forecast.
And that's it from us at First at 9. Now when you have time, make sure you connect with us on Facebook. Log on to Facebook/First at 9 or on Twitter, twitter.com/First at 9. And before we go, we'd like to take you to Colombia, where locals and tourists flock to see an illuminated Christmas train pass through the capital Bogota. 400 meters long and comprised of 14 compartments, the lit-up locomotive makes use of travel infrastructure that has been out of use in Bogota for more than 3 decades. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
As we celebrate Christmas, let us always remember to love one another irrespective of their religious affiliations. To love your family, because we hear a lot of marriages are breaking up. So the solution is genuine, authentic concern and love for your family, because family is a central, fundamentally important segment in our society. So Christmas is a celebration where the entire family gathering together, celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. With the birth of Jesus Christ, we have a new era in the world. It's a new path because in the entire world, so much of people celebrate this feast, this birth of Jesus Christ, because they all know to love and to be concerned about the other people. So my dear friends, I wish all of you that we will be always understanding the other person, we will be always loving the other person, and at the same time we will respect the birth of a child, and we will also respect the right to life. Thank you. God bless you.